Hi guys, it's Angie with Fun Endeavors Tie-Dye Lab. Today I'm going to make a diagonal scrunch gravity die. And I'm going to do this one up for the 4th of July, so it's going to be red and blue. I'm going to do this process outside, and for my setup I have 2 plastic sawhorses, and across the plastic sawhorses I've placed a piece of vinyl guttering. I have the guttering turned upside down so that the flat side is up. And since I'm going to do this design diagonally, I'm going to grab one shoulder of the shirt and the opposite corner hem of the shirt, and I'm going to place them flat on the piece of vinyl guttering. Then at the hem of the shirt, I'm just going to begin doing kind of a twist, almost like I was doing a spiral. Then I'm going to grab another area on the shirt and twist it the opposite direction and continue pressing those twisted or spiraled areas right up next to each other. Then since I am going to make this kind of a patriotic shirt, I'm going to use Fire Red and Midnight Blue from Dharma Trading Company. I'm starting with the Midnight Blue, and I'm placing the Midnight Blue on some of those scrunch spiral twisted areas. I want to leave space in between, so I want to do like red, blue, red, blue. I am going to leave some white in between. That way, if white shows up on my shirt, that's great. If it doesn't, then that's fine too. But I want to allow some space for the dye to flow and to move, because this is a gravity dye. So I want to let the dye flow and make that really cool dye flow that I love about gravity dyes. Now I'm going to add a sprinkle of additional soda ash over the top of the dye. I'm going to add quite a bit of ice to the top of this dye, so I want to make sure that I don't rinse out all of my initial soda ash from my initial soda ash soak. So the additional sprinkle of soda ash is just kind of like an insurance policy, making sure I have plenty in the shirt. I'm going to use a couple larger chunks of ice. These I make in food prep containers, and I think they're great because it takes them a little bit longer to melt than just smaller ice cubes. I don't have to replace the ice quite as often. It's really hot outside today. I think it's about 100 and something degrees Fahrenheit. So this ice is going to melt fairly quickly. And after the first layer of ice melted, I came back and added a second layer of ice and allowed it to melt as well. I've included some process photos so that you can see how the ice melted and how the dye moved down the shirt as the ice melted. After the second layer of ice melted, I came back and I took the shirt and placed it down inside of a plastic tub or tote to allow it to go ahead and continue to process. I allowed the shirt to process for about 24 hours after that second layer of ice melted before I began rinsing it out. So to rinse the shirt, I took it to my utility sink and I began rinsing it in cold water to rinse out the soda ash. By the time I started rinsing it, the shirt was almost totally dry. But that's really not a problem because the shirt had had plenty of time to process at a high enough temperature that my colors should be nice and vibrant. The fiber reactive dyes that I use quit bonding with the fabric when they dry out, so you have to keep them damp. I could have gone ahead and sprayed the shirt with a little bit of soda ash solution to make sure it remained damp, but like I said, by the time it started to dry out, it had already processed plenty of time to be nice and vibrant. So after rinsing in cold for a while, I went ahead and warmed the water up to hot and continued rinsing in hot water to rinse out the excess dye that didn't bond with the fabric. Then instead of just continuing to rinse for a long time, I went ahead and ran some really hot water in my utility sink, added a little bit of Blue Dawn dish detergent to the water, and just allowed the shirt to soak. When the water cooled off, I changed it out and I continued that soaking process until my water was remaining almost clear. Then I put the shirt along with some Dharma's professional textile detergent into my washing machine and I washed it using a hot water cycle. Okay, so I've washed, dried, and ironed the shirt, and let's see what it looks like. Okay, so what do you guys think? I think this is a really fun design for the 4th of July. I think that the colors look great together, and I do have a little bit of mixing, so there are a few shades of purple on the shirt, and the midnight blue has a little bit of a like purplish pink color split that comes out of it, and the fire red has a little bit of a yellow color split. So it's not pure blue and pure red, but I think that's kind of one of the things that makes it look different and unique. I do have some white on the shirt, so I get a little bit of the red, white, and blue. But I think that diagonal design across the shirt almost makes it look like it's fireworks exploding. Also, that scrunch twist design gives so much texture. It just looks really interesting on that line. And that causes a lot of color variation as well. When you look at the shirt, both sides of the shirt, you can tell that I had the front side of the shirt facing down, and I applied the dye to the back side of the shirt because it's just a little bit darker on the back. But I don't think it's enough darker that it detracts or takes away from the design in any way. I also really love the dye movement on this shirt. I've had a couple of people say if you would leave more of the shirt hanging down, then you would get more dye flow. And I agree with that. Sometimes I want a little bit of design on the shirt too, though, not just all dye flow. But I think this is a good mix of both. I like the dye flow on either side of this line, and I actually do like the color splits on it. Like I said, I know it's not a pure red, white, and blue, but I think it looks really pretty. I just think it's a very interesting shirt to look at. Every single gravity dye looks so different from the one before, just because, there are so many factors at play in a gravity dye. And of course, I mentioned that the shirt had started to dry out before I rinsed it out, but I don't think you can tell that by looking at the shirt. My colors are nice and vibrant, and I don't have any diminished color because the shirt dried out too quickly. Years ago, I know last year for sure, there was a chart that was going around out on Facebook, which told if the temperature was a certain degree, then you needed to process the shirt for a certain amount of time in order to get nice, vibrant colors. I haven't seen that going around this year, but you might be able to find it out on a Facebook group, possibly one called The Process of Ice Dyeing. You can do a search and see if you can find that. But that's one of the things that I love about ice dyeing, gravity dyeing, tie dyeing in general in the summer is you just don't have to process your shirts quite as long to get beautiful colors. So overall, I love this shirt. Think it'd be great for the 4th of July, but what do you guys think? Do you like this shirt? Do you like this design? Please drop me some comments down below and let me know. And if you've enjoyed watching the video, I sure would appreciate it if you would like it and if you'd subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you'll hit the bell, you'll receive a notification whenever I upload a new video. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a great day.